Thank you so much, Ankit, for that warm introduction and a very, very warm welcome to everybody present here. Thank you for joining in the session on interpersonal skills, teamwork, and collaboration, building leadership excellence through human connection. Okay, so before we begin the session, I would like to tell all of you that I would love to keep the session interactive. The session should be very engaging for all of us to participate, and for me to understand that, I just want one sort of way of affirming and going further is just put a thumbs up in the chat box or put some reactions for me to know that you're ready, you're right here to participate, and you're going to respond to me through and through the session because the session is going to be interactive. So, yeah, a quick thumbs up, like a reaction works for me. Where are we? The reaction part, or you can put a thumbs up in the chat box. That also works for me. Okay, so I can see a couple of. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Pratiksha. What about others? Can I see a couple of thumbs ups? There are about 63 of us right now. Yeah. So can I see a couple of thumbs ups on the screen or in the chat box? Okay, yes, lovely. So right now I know that y'all are right here ready to participate with me and begin the session. So I think Ankit has already given a good introduction to myself. I'm Sakshi. I am a psychologist at Trujog, and today's session is for all of us, no matter what team we belong or what our designation is. We look at everyday skills like communication, listening, empathy, handling disagreements, because these show up in every role, right? On shop floor, in office, in support functions, in customer facing, client facing role, anything at all. And these skills are not just limited to any particular sector or particular any particular department. It means it's for everyone. And this will be a practical interactive hour. I'll ask you questions, run short activities, and invite you to charge yourself up and share it in the chat box with me. There's no right or wrong answer, of course, just real situations where we can learn with each other together. And in one short phrase, what makes the others challenging? What makes working with others challenging at times for you? So the question to you is, in one short phrase, what makes working with others challenging for you? Right? Type your response in the chat box. Maybe it's miscommunication, sometimes it's assumptions, sometimes it's time pressure, different working styles, something else. I don't know. I would love to hear from all of you. What makes working tough with others for you, or in general, that's something that you have observed? Okay. Finding wavelength, that's a very good answer. Very, very good. Like the tempo of the two people should be similar to each other. Expectations, very good. That's again a very, very good answer. Non-cooperativeness, different working styles, yes, that's a very good answer again. Different working styles can lead to different. So somebody's collaborative at working, somebody likes to work in isolation. Of course, intent, thank you, Ankit, thank you, Digvijay. Assumptions, very correct. And these are again some answers. Now, interpersonal skills and teamwork are everyday skills for every employee. Why this is important is because they affect how smooth and enjoyable our work feels around us, right? And to see how everybody is arriving today, I would like to start with a simple mood check-in. Let's go ahead in this presentation and start with a quick icebreaker activity called as one mood word. Okay, just like now, right now, you told me about the way you think about interpersonal skills, or perhaps your working styles with others, what there's a difference or how. I want to ask you now, type one word in the chat box that describes how you're feeling today. How are you arriving today? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling optimistic? Okay, that's okay. I said that in Devansh answered the same thing. Okay, great. Okay, so great and good are not words. Okay, I want emotion words, like feeling words. Happy, sad, optimistic, energetic, excited, sleepy, drowsy. I'm excited for the weekend. What is that? Happy, okay. Totally in Friday mood. I am as well. I'm with you. Happy, productive, very happy. Sleepy, yeah. Again, I'm with you. Anxious. Okay, we don't have weekends. Okay. Sleepy. Okay, understood. So everybody is arriving this way today. Okay. Now, question is, if this is how people in your team usually feel, right? Everybody is as, and look at the variations in the chat box itself. There are so many variations. Everybody is feeling so differently. Your mood is different. And now think about how people you usually feel around you come to the office with this kind of similar mood. How might that affect our communication and teamwork and conflict management, anything at all, right? Especially on packed days. Say, for example, I have a very, very tight schedule today, but I get traffic. It affects my mood. I get irritated, I get upset, and I carry forward that I carry forward that energy with me throughout the day, right? So imagine how different people bring this energy with themselves on everyday basis. How would that affect communication, right? So the key learning point here is colleagues come into conversations with different moods and energy levels, right? And noticing this helps us working together more kindly and realistically. Now that we have checked in, let's see which interpersonal skill feels the most challenging in everyday work. The third question to you is, which interpersonal skill do you find challenging at work? Now, I got a lot of answers as to how your working styles are, but which one do you actually feel is the most challenging for you at work? Is it A, B, C, D, or E? Okay, E, D, A, E. Okay, so I'm getting a variation of answers. So collaboration, sometimes it's empathy, sometimes it's listening. Okay, D, conflict resolution. That's again a very important point and a very important skill to have. Again, you know what's the interesting part about interpersonal skills? It's in the name. It's skills. Skills is are something that we can always work with. We can always enhance these things. So if you need work here, we can always work on it and get it better. It doesn't mean that it's a benchmark for anything or you're born with it, so you have to live with it like that. No. No, absolutely not. If you are, I feel like you lack somewhere and there are certain skills that are lower in you, certain are high. So let's focus on the points where we have to work and keep the other skills on top of us as well. And let's move forward in the session. So thank you so much, everybody. Great job. Now that you've checked in, now I want to ask you, looking at the responses, I'm curious if communication is high on the list right now, it shows how much clarity and structure matter for everyone, right? If listening or empathy shows up often, it suggests that we might be talking a lot, but no one always truly is understanding each other, right? If handling disagreements or collaboration is high for you, it tells us where the teamwork feels toughest. So we'll touch on these areas today and with simple tools that anyone can use. And let's start by seeing why these people skills matter for all the employees, not just managers, not just junior level employees, senior management, anybody, but everyone, right? As you move forward, like right here on the slide, you can see why interpersonal skills matter. This slide reminds of us that interpersonal skills are not just soft skills, okay? They're everyday work skills that affect results for all of us. They directly impact our productivity, our trust, our culture, and innovation. Productivity because clear communication reduces errors and delays, and we know that. Example, when handover emails or shift notes are clearly mentioned what's to be done and what's pending and who will handle what, it avoids the confusion and the rework altogether, right? Absolutely. Trust, empathy, and listening people to feel safe to speak up. That's again a very, that's a very important skill to have. Culture. How we handle disagreements affects the team's whole atmosphere, right? And innovation because collaboration really across roles and departments sparks for better solutions, right? And so these skills are important whether you work on the shop floor, in a lab, in an office, or on site. Let's dive into communication first with a fun emoji sentence activity that shows how easily messages can be misunderstood. So, we'll do a playful communication exercise right now called emoji sentence. On this slide, you'll see a message right away that we have used emojis right here for you to decode. So, the statement is as you can see on the screen, let's dash there at dash for dash and dash about the dash. So, you have to fill in the words and you have to decode the emoji. Your challenge is to decode this message and type your best guess in the chat. Now, what do you think this sentence means? Can I get some responses in the chat box? How would you decode this? So you have to fill in the whole statement and reshare it in the chat box. Okay, Vikas is saying, let's be there at the office for coffee and let's have a chat about the report. Interesting. What about others? Can I get some more responses? Can there be other alternatives to this? Because this is just emoji. You have to guess what exactly the answer could be. Can I get some more answers? But a great attempt, Vikas. Okay, let's meet up there at office for coffee and let's meet and talk about the schedule. Okay, let's be there at home for coffee and discuss about the trip. Oh, okay. Now, this is very good. I am glad that I'm getting so many variations to this. Be building coffee chat trend. Okay, let's be there at the office and discuss the presentation and report. Okay. Now, I told you, right? This is confusing. Can I get a raise of hands or a thumbs up to know that this is confusing? It can mean so many different things. Yes, absolutely. Okay, and I can see a couple of raise of hands already, right? Yes, I think we agree that yes, this is confusing. Now, imagine a similar message at work through a work email or a WhatsApp group message of how it might affect the coordination, like, timelines or stress, anything at all. This is confusing. Now, let's reveal the what original message actually means and see what it teaches us about clarity. Okay, let's be there at office for coffee and talk about the report. So, Vikas, actually, who was the first person, he was pretty much there, and rest of y'all also did a great attempt. Okay, that's a good job. So, some claps for Vikas, and I think rest of us, I think, also attempted really well, and people who also guessed because I could only see a couple of names and then I couldn't read all the messages, but I can see that a lot of y'all have attempted to be. Actually, yes, let's even Teja for that matter of fact, Sanjeev, a lot of y'all. So good attempt. Now the decoded messages as you can see on the screen. Some of you may have guessed something pretty close, which was tea or trip. Now others may have imagined something completely else. This shows us that when details are missing in the picture that we are getting, our brains fill in the gaps based on our own experiences. Okay, and I want to emphasize on this, and this is something which is very natural that we as human beings we intend and tend to fill in the gaps as per our own knowledge. So somebody who said trip may be craving for a trip now, or somebody who said tea may be craving for tea instead of thinking about coffee. Maybe you're a tea person instead of coffee. So that was the first thought that came to your mind. Now, has anyone ever experienced a situation where a casual or unclear message caused confusion or overthinking at work? Type yes in the or a Y in the chat box if yes. I just want to know yes or no. Yes, that this confusion over chat or unclear messages that are said, meet me here at 3 or send this to me ASAP. Now, ASAP can mean 100 different things for somebody, right? So, yes, I can see a lot of answers coming in. Thank you so much, everyone, because now this helps us understand. Let's summarize what we learned from this communication exercise right now in the next slide, which is exactly the 3 points that we can see on the screen. Even simple messages can be misinterpreted. Ambiguity creates confusion and delays, and context matters more than we think, right? The key message here is all of us benefit when our messages are clear, structured, and we check understanding to avoid misinterpretations. Example here can be a couple of things like instead of, saying, let's discuss this later, let's say, let's discuss this monthly safety data for 15 minutes at, say, 3 p.m. in the meeting room. So instead of saying we need to talk, we said time, we said place, we were not ambiguous, and all these 3 points were covered in that message. Yes, so these small changes really help reduce anxiety and make teamwork even smoother for everyone, right? Now let's bring this to life with the workplace scenario, including Priya and Ankit. Ankit, I'm sorry, but we have that name as an example right here on screen. And if there is any Priya, it's not intended to both of you. This is just simple names that we are taking. Okay, no reference to anybody in the room. These are just simple hypothetical names. Okay. All right. Now, the problem here is, and what we can see right now on the screen is consider this scenario. Okay. Priya sends a message to Ankit saying, we need to talk about the Q3 numbers. The result here is Ankit spends the morning stressed, assuming there is a major problem. Now, have many of us gotten some of these similar type of messages and we got worried just like Ankit? Can I see a couple of thumbs ups or Ys in the chat box? Yes, no, maybe. Yeah, I can see a lot of Ys coming in. And I have done that too personally because somebody might have said something or somebody might have not responded to my call in that situation. And I would have gotten worried that, you know, thinking to the worst possible scenario, worst case scenario in that situation. Now, we have received messages like this, right? What thoughts might run through Ankit's mind after reading that? Can I get some answers in the chat box? Like, what might Ankit be thinking, and why does he spend time being stressed? Because stressed is because he might be getting some thoughts in his mind, right? So, what could those thoughts be like? Say, for example, I don't know what she wants to discuss about the Q3 numbers. Have I made a mistake? Numbers could be wrong. Yes. What about any other guesses? Any other guesses? Good attempt, Yovraj. Okay, there should be some problem. Yes. Our mind focuses on the worst case scenario. Numbers are wrong. Yes. So he jumped to conclusion, and that generally happens when we are getting sort of a vague message, because then our mind fills in the gap of what will happen, right? That we have already established. Now, um, the question to you is, how could this affect his focus on other tasks that morning? Do you think he will be able to continue with his day like a regular day, or would he be worried and that worry would cause him to, make some minor errors in his day or not be fully focused at his work? Yes, yes, absolutely correct. Not fully concentrated. That's a good answer, right? And that is highly possible because when you're not in your state of mind, you're confused and occupied with thoughts and worry and stress, automatically we will not be able to fully focus and concentrate on other things, right? Now, let's see what the reality of the situation is. So, reality is Priya just wanted to add one data point to the presentation. So, Ankit's stress came from the way the message was framed and not the actual issue, right? Now, let's look at how slightly clearer message can change the whole tone. Okay, now, if this is something what we had to do, let's move further. In the next slide, we will see a better approach, right? Here, if Priya would have said, "Hey Ankit, can we chat for 10 minutes today to review one small data update for the Q3 report?" Do you think Ankit's stress would have immediately reduced, and he would have not overthink about the whole situation and wouldn't have not jumped in on the worst possible scenario? Yes. Yes, reduced. Absolutely. So now, clarity, see the importance of the way we communicate, right? Clarity reduces misinterpretations and unnecessary anxiety. This is very important because what's different here in this message is there is time frame, there is scope, and there is topic. That means time frame meaning in 10 minutes today. So he knows that in 10 minutes I have to discuss this with Priya. Scope, one small data update, and topic is of course for the Q3 report. So the impact here is Ankit knows what to expect, he can plan his time, and he doesn't need to imagine the worst case scenarios. Adding time, scope, and purpose to messages generally helps your colleagues or people around you feel more informed instead of anxious, making teamwork easier for everyone. Now, that we have explored the communication part, let's turn to another key skill that we all use a lot, and it is more important than communication. It is effective listening. Now, I'll read a short workplace scenario for you about a client call. Okay, your job is to identify the three most important business facts from there. You will hear many details and you have to listen carefully. Is everybody ready? Can I see a couple of thumbs ups on the screen? Can I know you all are ready to hear the story? Because you have to pay attention. Perfect. Thank you for that, Yuvraj. Thank you, Rapoli. And okay, perfect. So let's see the story. Last week, our client Horizon Retail Insights called regarding an ongoing consumer research study. Their project lead, Amanda, mentioned that the client survey fieldwork needs to be completed by August 12th instead of August 25th. She also said the approved project budget remains $75,000 and she is expecting a data quality update every Monday morning. During the same call, she casually mentioned she's attending a concert in Chicago next weekend and that her daughter has just started university. Now, during all of this, what were the three most important business facts? Can you tell me? Can you tell me the most three important business facts right now from the story? Anyone in the chat box? Any three important business facts? Yes. Completion date? Absolutely. Okay. You can put your answers in the chat box. Deadline got preponed. Okay. But can you be more specific? Because that is what we learned in clear communication. What deadline? What is the budget? What is the completion date? Good job. So somebody's message I saw was beautifully written, and I would like to give a shout out, which is Sharmila Behuria. If I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Completed by August 12th, budget is 75,000. Monday morning update, which is a very good attempt in answering that, Sharmila, because you are specific. There is time frame, and the answers are pretty much there. Good job. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. I want to ask you through the let's confirm the key business facts. Is that right? Can we go further? Absolutely right. So, Sharmila and others who gave the answers pretty much correctly, shout out and claps to all of you. Survey fieldwork deadline was, of course, August 12th. Project budget was 75,000 and data quality updates was every Monday morning. So, good job, everybody. Now, I want to do something interesting. As we move further, these were the critical business facts. But what about the personal details? Did anybody pay attention to this part of concert in Chicago and daughter starting university? Did you pay attention to this? Yes, no, or maybe you can be honest. There's no test here. Yeah, so I'm getting a mixed group of answer that I did not pay attention to it because I was paying more attention to the business facts or end of it, right? Very less attention. Absolutely. So, the important fact here is the concert in Chicago or the daughter starting university, it's nice to know and it helps build rapport. Okay, it helps builds rapport and personal connection, as is very important when you are generally managing a business, sort of a end of a deal. Now, active listening means filtering for relevance, asking clarifying questions, and being fully present, essential skills for everyone and anyone who talks to clients or colleagues, right? So, in practice, we do notice personal details to build human connection, and we also stay clear on information which is operationally required for critical work details. Okay, now let's ground listening and empathy with a powerful quote. Let's see a couple of quote that we are bringing in for you. So the quote is essentially saying, and it captures empathetic listening, that is seeing with eyes of another and listening with ears of another and feeling with the heart of another. That's exactly what empathetic listening and of course all of it captures together. Now, in day-to-day work, this means that trying to see situations as your colleague sees them, truly hearing what they say and what they might be hinting at, and being sensitive to their emotions, not just their words. Because imagine if somebody is having a bad day and you're not enough empathetic to them, will they be feeling bad? And tell me, I want to ask you another question right here. Do you think think about this one colleague or one person through work or anywhere, about this person, do you really love them and care for them or really like them because they are a very good performer, they are really good at work? Or do you like them because they were empathetic to you, they were nice to you? Which one is it? Is it option A, which is because they are a talented person, or because B, because they are very empathetic? Yes, nice to you because they're more empathetic, they understand you. Yeah, that's something that's a good quality to have. And so we'll segue into it now. Listening skills, right? That's very important. Now, we'll briefly contrast verbal and non-verbal communication, and then we'll practice observing sort of non-verbal cues in all of it. Now, verbal versus non-verbal communication. This slide invites us to think about verbal versus non-verbal communication, because verbal, the words we use, is pretty evident. It's understandable, wherein we require to have the words we use in the content to clarify what we are feeling, of course. And non-verbal is more about the body language, facial expressions, eye contact, posture, tone of voice, and even silence. Now, if I would have started my session with saying ki, hello everyone, today we will talk about something which is an interesting topic called interpersonal skills, would you be feeling bored? Yes, no, maybe. If somebody would start their session like this for a webinar, would you be feeling bored? Yes, exactly. And if I would have started with the way that I did, which is energetic, smiling, welcoming, that shifts the whole energy of the crowd and audience as well. Yes, that's an important point to note, because Again, I will give you one statistics. In many workplaces, someone might verbally say, I'm fine. But their non-verbal signals like avoiding eye contact, speaking very quietly, or looking tense tells a different story altogether. In your experience, do you rely more on words or non-verbal cues to understand how someone is feeling? How do you generally look at people? And it's okay to be either way, right? Both are important. But how do you look at things generally? Okay, but if you had to pick one, then what would it be? Would it be verbal or non-verbal? Okay, non-verbal. Okay, verbal due to work from home. Okay, I understand. But you can also catch some non-verbal cues on online meetings or anything like that. Non-verbal, right? Now, so many of you are saying non-verbal, and I think there is a reason for it, right? What is, and I want to share this with you, is something very interesting. Have you ever heard of the phrase called actions speak louder than words? Have you heard about it? Yes, no? Correct. Now, the thing is, it is actually very true because around 65 to 90% of our daily communication happens through our facial expressions, body language, gestures, tone of voice, and even eye contact for that matter, not just through words as we speak, right? It happens a lot through the non-verbal part of the communication, 65 to 90%. That's a big number. So, hence, it's very important that actions speak louder than words. So the quote stands by itself. It's very correct. And I think we should also pay a lot more attention to the non-verbal cue part of it. Let's apply this idea with a short non-verbal observation exercise. And I want to first ask you before showing you the exercise is, do you think you're a good observer? Yes? Okay. I'm seeing a lot of confident yeses in the chat box. That motivates me to show you the next video. Mansi, when I tell you to pause the video, please pause it at that point in time, okay? All right, let's play the video for everybody.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball.
Pause it, Mansi.
The correct
Okay, so the correct answer is 16 passes. Okay, now, can we show the rest of the video? Okay, everyone, anybody who
count how
guessed?
many
Yes, okay. I think Yuvraj, hold your horses. I will get to it. Okay, let's play the video.
times the players wearing white pass the ball.
Okay, it's okay. Let it play. So count it again. It's 16.
The correct answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla?
Okay, how many
For
of
people who
you were
haven't
able to
seen or
spot
heard
the
of
gorilla? Yes. And be honest. It's okay. If you don't and wouldn't have as well, because that was the trick. Sometimes what happens is our mind is so focused on finding, just like, the business story, a lot of you were not able to pick up that cue of, the part where she was telling the personal details about the story. And it's okay because sometimes we are not able to multitask or we are not able to pay attention to every little detail about it. So we miss on a few things, but it's important because observing and being more observant about other things in our surrounding becomes important, especially for the non-verbal cues. It's okay, but great job, everybody. I'm so glad that all of you participated and counted actually. So good job. Let's move further. Now, actually, let's talk about something important, and which is, of course, empathy at work with an activity called What's Behind the Statement, right? Now, what's important here and to talk about this is I'm so sorry, I'm unable to see the screen, Mansi. Is the screen visible to everyone? Okay, so maybe it's not visible for me. Nonetheless, okay, let me see if I can check. Okay, yes, now it is. All right. So, as you were talking about empathy in leadership, right? Activity behind the statement. Now, I'll share some common workplace statements with you. For each one, consider what might be the person actually be feeling about it? What do they really need? And how would you respond with empathy? Can we do that, everybody? Let's start. Begin with it. Yes, is everybody ready? Okay, lovely. Let's show the first scenario, Mansi. Okay, the statement number one is team member says, I'm fine, just busy. What might they actually mean? Possible underlying feelings could be they may be overwhelmed, they might need support but don't want to admit it, or could be feeling undervalued or stressed. How would you respond with empathy? Now, if you were to create a statement as a friend, as a colleague, anybody, and you were to say that you wanted to respond with empathy, how would you do that? Now that we have spoken about it, you can just make quick attempts. It's okay. There's no wrong or right. No, no, you don't have to choose from the option. You have to tell me and frame a sentence by saying how would you reply to them with empathy. These options are just to be given to you to say that this is something that these are underlying possible feelings for them. So if you were to reframe and share a response with them, I will just say okay, all right. But if you were to respond here with empathy, what would that look like? This time shall pass, don't worry. Any more guesses? Can I get some more guesses? That's a good attempt, Shilpa. What about others? Can I get some guesses or options? Somebody might want to take a hint at it. All? No, no, these are absolutely correct. So let me share the information. These are just options to share that these are possible underlying feelings that they might be going through, right? I don't want you to pick from the option. I want you to share that with this information, how would you respond to them with empathy? Okay. I understand what you may be going through. Allow me to help you if you required. Okay, that's a very beautiful. Okay, so good. Let's please give some claps to Aarti. That's a very beautiful statement. Sanjeev sir says, I understand. Let us catch up to check if you need support. Again, a very short, cut short, perfect, crisp response. That's a good answer. I'm agreeing to it but cannot comment. Okay. Okay, let me know if I can help you. Okay, let's connect once you're free. Okay, that's also a good response. Is there anything you need to talk? Again, a good response, right? Now, let's see. And just let that slide be only, Mansi, here. The thing is, and the possible analysis and underlying stress here could be that, what might they really mean? And of course, one possible underlying feeling. So, for example, they might mean I'm overwhelmed, I don't want to trouble anyone, and feel stress or a bit of frustration, right? Now, possible underlying issues could be, of course, heavy workload, difficulty saying no or asking for help, fear of being judged and as not like, capable of a person. And emotional aspects definitely could be about stress, worry, or guilt about not finishing something. That what might the person might be going through, right? Now, an empathetic response as a colleague could be that I hear that you're very busy. Is there anything we can rearrange or share so it's more manageable? Okay, that's something if you could be. Otherwise, what Aarti said and what other couple of people said also works really well. Okay, or a gentle question like, what's making this week particularly heavy for you? It's okay to ask questions. If you are scared of asking questions, your response can be very simple, like statement one, or the next one could be similar to, is there something, particularly heavy that you need help with? Please let me know. Sometimes people also don't want help. They just want you to be there and be like a sounding board, like a space for them to just, vent or share with you. So, has that ever happened with you that you wanted the other person, or you particularly wanted somebody to just be a sounding board and listen to you and not give the solutions to your problems? Is that something that has happened for all of you? That sometimes you just want somebody to listen to you without any judgment and definitely not give any solutions. You just want them to listen. Is that something that you have ever came across? Anybody particularly? Yes, no, maybe? Anyone? If it is a no, also it's okay. But at least I would love to hear from you. Okay? Okay, yes. Okay. Maybe there's a lag in the network, so I'm getting your responses a bit later. Nonetheless, it's good, because it's good to know that you are sometimes wanting to just sound or just like want somebody to just be there to share with you. But that's also a possible perspective. All right. Now, let's move on to the statement number two. Let's look at statement number two. Okay, colleague says, we will see if I can make the meeting. What might they actually mean? Now, if you were to choose from, let's this time choose from one of these possible underlying feelings, what do you think it could be out of one, two, or three? And then, of course, share the empathetic response. Is it one, they might already know they can't attend? Is it two, they feel the meeting isn't a priority for them? Or three, which is could be expressing passive resistance. Passive resistance means sometimes you want to, but you don't want to as well. So it's passive in nature. And or you're just trying to shrug the information by saying, I'll see if I can attend it later. So you're so kind of procrastinating it with words. Okay, I can see a lot of numbers here coming in, and a lot of you feel it's two or three. Nobody says one. Okay. All right. And if you were to respond to them empathetically, what would that look like for you? Can I get some interesting statements? Yashra, Chaitra, Anil, Naveen, Alam, Shenamaz, Bhavika, any statement that you would like to formulate a empathetic response to this? Because empathy is a very difficult skill to have. Other person might be going through these three possibilities, but still be kinder to them. That's very difficult, right? Being empathetic. Any response that you would like to frame? I'm guessing y'all are typing it out. No problem. Please take your time. Mm-hmm. Okay. Three could be expressing passive resistance. But there could be other possibilities to this as well, right? While you're thinking or you're formulating the statement. What might they be signaling, right? Is it clashing priorities, unclear purpose of meeting, or perhaps discomfort with the topic? Okay, great. Let me know if we could move it with your convenient time if the schedule one does not suit you. That's a very interesting one, Sanjeev. Very beautiful. It would mean a lot if you could attend. Okay. If you are busy with any other work, we can make it tomorrow. There's no big issue. Okay, that's also a good one, Chetra. Good attempt. Okay. Now, the thing is, underlying issues could also include scheduling, overload, or conflicting tasks, of course, right? Unclear meeting agenda or feeling it won't be useful, right? Sometimes it's possible, right? We are informed or we want or sort of have been allocated to meetings which are not really important and I don't need to be there. I have a lot of pressing other tasks that I have to finish and this meeting doesn't seem like a priority, or discomfort with the discussion or some people present. Now, these are underlying possibilities, right? Now, the empathetic responses which are formulated here in the chat box are really beautiful. So I would like to stick with them. Like, I really loved what Sanjeev sir said. I think even the one with Chetra's response, if you're busy, we can do it together. Couple of shout outs, even Bhavika ones, and Aarti's, I'm here if you need listening ear, we can connect. Okay, that's also a good one. Okay, now the thing is, and if a possible sort of empathetic response as a teammate could also be like, sounds like your schedule is tight. This main purpose of the meeting is X. And would it help if we share minutes or adjusted the timing? Exactly what I think Sanjeev sir said. That will be great. Okay, that's a very good response. Some shout out to him. It's a good attempt at that. And the next one could be like, let's see which parts you really need to attend and how we can make it easier for you to join. See, kindness is something that you can always have. If adjusting the timing can help the other person a little bit, why not do it, right? So let's summarize the whole role of empathy in everyday teamwork. Summary of it is yes, thank you so much, Anji. So you made a very great attempt. Can we move further a little bit, Mansi? Empathy at work. So empathy in leadership and essentially at work, it is, very important. Empathy is about noticing the feeling behind words. Can we go a slide back, Mansi? Okay, I think we are missing a slide. No problem. So, empathy is about noticing the feeling behind words and responding appropriately because it really builds trust and psychological safety. The question that I asked you of a colleague whom you remember as, one of the best people that you have worked with, or, they are really good with, in anything at all. They are not really generally talented. They are the people who are generally kinder, nicer, welcoming, and that's what empathy is about, right? In daily practice, this also means not taking every I am fine at face value, right? Asking curious, respectful questions and offering support without judgment or overreacting. Because, like I told you, with the mood that we bring in every day, we don't know what the other person is going through. So, empathy in that situation becomes really important skill, right? Now, let's apply these skills in a conflict situation which involves Priya and Arjun. If there are any Priyas in the room, I'm very sorry. If there are any Arjuns in the room, I'm very sorry. Not intended for either of you. Okay. Now, as we move further, let's go ahead, Mansi. About conflict resolution, again, activity, choose your response. Okay. In this situation with Priya, client services has committed to delivering the final market research report by September 10th. Research operations need one more week for data validation and quality checks. I'm so sorry. Client services delaying delivery will impact client trust and future business opportunities. Research operation, they are saying data accuracy cannot be compromised. Tension is rising, and imagine if you are their manager, how would you respond? So, if you are in this situation and you are Priya versus Arjun's manager and you have to manage both of them, how would you respond? How would your response look like to both of you? Can we get some guesses before moving forward? Mansi, don't yet move forward. I will tell you. About others, can we get some responses in the chat box? How would you respond if you were their manager? In this case, with Priya and Arjun, you can read the scenario again and formulate your answer. No problem. I'm really looking forward for your answers in this one because conflict resolution is an interesting topic, right? And I would give you a hint, communication and empathy here plays a big role. So, whatever your response framing would be like, keep these two things in mind because now we are applying these skills. Okay. So, I am waiting for your answer. I'm hoping that you all are typing in the chat box. So, take your time. No problem. Okay. Any guesses if you were their manager? Like in this simulation, if you were their manager, what would you do? How would you respond? And the Priya's concern is that client relationship commitments and future business, like you have already read. And Arjun's concern is data quality, accuracy, and long-term credibility. Okay, that's his particular concern. Now, both concerns are valid, definitely. This is not about right versus wrong. This is about speed versus quality. That's an important point. Any guesses, anyone? Any single one? Any guesses? I'm hoping that you all are typing your answers. Okay, I finally got one answer. I think you all were typing. Okay. Let's explain the data accuracy for clients so we can postpone deadline for 2 to 3 days instead of 1 week. So yes, very good. You're finding a middle ground there. Good attempt, Yuvraj. We will take more resources to do the validation and check so that we can meet the deadline. Bhavika's answer is use AI. That's a funny one. Okay. We can work together and sort out. Okay. All right. Now this is interesting. Okay. I mean, the response that Bhavika gave is really hilarious. But to be honest, using an empathetic response here could look like in three phases. Okay, now all these responses are great. Now see which category yours falls into. Let's see the next one. Exactly this. Okay, your response options. This is aggressive, passive, and assertive. Now, aggressive. This is unacceptable. You've created delays and put the client relationship at risk. Okay. Passive. It's okay. We'll just stretch the team and somehow manage both. Assertive. I understand both concerns. Let's explore solutions that maintain data quality while minimizing client impact. Which one do you think your works into, your category, and your response or your would have response fallen into? Which category? And it's okay to be transparent, okay? I would love to hear Sanjeev sir's response. Let us rework on the clear deadline from September 10th and make sure we consider all our validation and quality checks are strictly in place and communicate with the client with the stepwise action and remarks for delay to keep the client trust intact. That's a very detailed answer, sir. I think you are a manager itself. It seems like it to me. And that's a very good response because it covers most of our points. And which option do you think is the most preferable at workplace? Is it A, B, or C? Which communication style is the most preferable? Because in conflict situation, communication becomes very important. What you're saying, what you are intending to say, your body language, your everything, what you're communicating becomes very important because any little mistaken error can lead to the problem increasing, right? Or you can even diffuse the situation with communication. So that becomes very important. So I'm getting a lot of answers and all of them are C, right? Now, I'll tell you something, okay? The key learning point here is that best practice is generally assertive plus respectful communication to resolve conflicts without damaging relationships. Now, assertiveness generally is a very learned skill, okay? And using this even in boundary setting for your daily practices will help you a lot in every little thing, okay? Aggressive communication from anyone can harm relationships, right? Passive communication can overload people, and sometimes it might look like you don't want to take a stand or you don't want to communicate or you don't want to just simply confront the situation, maybe. But assertive is a respectful communication style that helps teams with finding solutions while maintaining both performance and relationships. Now, in high conflict situations, I would completely agree with some people that passive communication might look like one of the best options. But remember that even while diffusing the situations, the terms that you want to communicate should always be communicated, and passive communication might stop you from that. Assertive communication doesn't mean that you're attacking anybody. It means that you're simply putting your point forward and understanding the other person's point of view as well. Okay, I can do a whole session on assertive communication, but I think here everybody has made a great attempt, especially, I love the response for Sanjay sir and definitely Chaitra. I love the response for um, I think Yuvraj as well, right? So all of these responses were good. Now, to close the content, let's each commit to one interpersonal action we'll apply immediately at work. What would that be for you? Any one action that you will apply to your work today? One takeaway that you want to feel that, this is something that I would apply to my communication style or perhaps my listening style or maybe my non-verbal cues, anything. Careful listening. Okay, empathy. Anybody will be using empathy as a key tool? Any particular one skill that you want to pick up from? Okay. Anybody? If you're typing your answer, listening. Okay. Yes. It's okay if we are lacking a few things. Like I told you, skills are something which we can always work on constantly, right? Observing the cues, that's a very good one. More empathy. Yes, beautiful. Lovely. All right. So it can, the simple one liner can also be like, I will make my WhatsApp messages more specific. I will confirm key points at the end of important calls. I will respond more empathetically when someone says, I'm fine, I'm just busy. Or I will use assertive, respectful language during disagreements, right? That's something you can pick up from. Now, before we close, we'd really love your feedback on this session, and I have good 10 minutes for Q&A. In case if you have any questions, please let us know. I'm right here. And Ankit, if you would be sharing the feedback form, yes, this is the
Sure.
time. Thank you, everyone, for your time and attention and participation today. Just remember that small changes in how we talk, listen, and respond can have a big impact on how smoothly our work runs, right? And how safe people feel in our teams. And as we close, we take a moment to ask yourself, what is that one sentence or idea from today that I want to remember for the next week? Okay. I think there is a question in the chat box. I'm although unable to read it. I'm not sure why. Yes, Aarti, we will repeat it for you in a second. I think right now everybody can see polls, but Mansi, if possible, can we go to the slide behind this? Yes, Aarti, I'm also going to see. So is it okay if I respond to the question right now, Ankit, or should I do
Yeah,
the
you can go ahead, ma'am.
sorry?
You can go ahead, ma'am. You can post the answers. You can answer the questions.
Okay, perfect. All right. So now empathy is a strength, okay, but it doesn't mean saying yes to everything. Now, healthy boundaries are very important. This is where assertive communication comes into play, right? And of course, you don't have to overextend yourself with anything. Empathy means that you're understanding the other person's point of view. That does not mean that you're not able to set extended healthy boundaries. Start by communicating your capacity clearly, prioritizing your responsibilities, and of course, using respectful phrases like, I'd like to help, but I don't have the bandwidth right now. If you genuinely don't have that, I can take up this after once I finish the current priorities, or if you will be, able to help me out with my current responsibilities as to which is a priority, and I can take that up, it will be really helpful. So remember that setting boundaries is not about lack of empathy. It's what helps you sustain, burnout. So instead of burning out, you can communicate what you can and cannot do. And if you can, then what are the timelines that is workable for you? Does that answer your question, Aarti? Sorry, cannot see the chat option. I need more input. Okay, input from me as to what language can we use? Yes. So, of course, we are going to be sending you a handbook about today's session. And yes, if there are any books to read, let me see. I think I have one in my resource. So let me see.
Sakshi, may I? May
Yes,
I?
yes,
You
please go
able to
ahead.
hear me now, Sakshi?
Yes, yes,
Sakshi,
I can.
firstly, I want to thank Etika and you for having this amazing interpersonal conflict session. It is very important for me to, rebuild myself and setting right boundaries at my workplace, because in my last organization, my manager really had given me some inputs about, Aarti, you need to set right boundaries at the workplace. Empathy is sometimes been override. People thinking you're too much of giving and more friendly, so that's the context I have mentioned here. And on that certain level, see, whatever task is coming on my plate, I've been doing it, and it was always said as this is the task which you are doing it has given on a show. So instead of representing it in a very professional way, I'm doing everything right on 10 on 10, but that's not how it must say, or it must be shown as. So it must look something on a surface level as a very professional. So for that reason, I was given a feedback of maintaining healthy boundaries at workplace, but I am still struggling with how do I put that in my day-to-day practice. So I need that understanding, Sakshi, if any activity that I can do with myself. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. No problem. Thank you so much, Aarti. And this is a very important skill. In fact, for everyone, boundary setting becomes very important at workplace. You should not be doing less. Like, I think you can see on the screen right now as well. There are three styles of communication: aggressive, passive, and assertive. Aggressive wouldn't work. Passive wouldn't work. So if you're falling into the category of passive and you're taking yes for, you're saying yes to everything, you are overriding your empathy skill for other people at work, it becomes very important for you to use the assertive skills practice. Okay, and you have to practice that in your daily life as well. So there are many worksheets on Google online you will find to practice assertive communication skills on a daily basis. See what kind of phrases they are using. Just like I told you, the phrases like, I'd like to help, but I don't have the bandwidth right now. If you could help me prioritize my task, it'll be great, right? So there are multiple tools online where you will find multiple worksheets to practice assertive communication. Try doing that. And then secondly, I have also one book that I can think of right now is, When I Say No, I Feel Guilty, or The Gifts of Imperfection. These are the two books on the top of my head. You can try reading them. Okay. So try to increase your knowledge about the topic first and see what are the areas where you are lacking. If you once see that, it'll be great. And I hope that this was helpful in any ways. Okay. I will just put that in
Sakshi,
the
it
chat
was
box.
very, very helpful. I would like to, I mean to say, like, I would really like to have, like, if you could share some boundary setting videos or some activity sheets. If I could share my email ID, so that will really help me to build into a better professional for myself. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but this session was amazing, Sakshi, and I wish you really great luck. And Etika, thank you once again for doing it. It is the need for me. Thank you.
Sure. Always welcome.
So much. And Ankit, if possible, I'll ask Akansha to share those details with you.
Sure.
Yeah. And we'll also be sending a handout about today's session, so you will be able to, even re-go all these things. Up
Sure.
to what extent empathy can work if the team is taking it as an advantage? I think, Sandeep, similar situation here, right? Of course, this is a very direct question as to, that to say that if the team is taking advantage of it. Empathy is something that you have to understand other person's point of view. Yet I told you in the session as well, right, where you have to maintain boundaries. Boundary setting also becomes important, even if you are in the managerial level, or if you have juniors working under you, or you are a junior yourself. It's very important to practice these skills on both levels, right? And by that, I mean that in case if somebody is not working, try to understand why there is a behavior which is consistently showing up. If there is some lack, or they are just procrastinating work, if you mean in that context, then try to understand where that is coming from. You can have a quick conversation with them and see and highlight. But here again, having an assertive communication tone becomes very important. Having your non-verbal skill set cues again becomes very important. The way you're speaking, your tone, your body language, how you're communicating what you're feeling becomes very important. So empathy, absolutely important where you're trying to understand the other person's prerogative, but also communicating what you are feeling is lacking and how to respond with empathy becomes very important. While, in fact, even giving while giving feedback. Does that respond your answer question? So it is also important to pair empathy with accountability, right? And to sort of, being understanding doesn't really mean lowering your expectations or sort of accepting repeated patterns, like I told you. Does that answer your question? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So if you
Any more?
have any questions, anyone, please raise your hand or drop it into the chat box. So we will bring you into the panelist and you can ask directly with Sakshi as Aarti ma'am did so far.
Sorry, Ankit, can you repeat, please?
So if anyone can raise their hand, no ma'am, so I will allow them to directly speak with you.
Sure. Sure. Any more questions, anybody?
So anyone have any questions, please? All right then. So to everyone who joined for this Friday musings and afternoon, thank you for showing up, for engaging so openly, and for making this such a thoughtful and grounded sessions. And thank you so much, Sakshan, for bringing this topic into the box and make everyone at warmth and for bringing such clarity and depth to a topic that touches every single one of us. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. Be kind, listen to all of us and we will see you on the next one. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you once again and wishing you a clear and strong communication and strong collaboration. Yeah.
Sure, man.
Thank you. Have a great weekend ahead and a great, lovely week which is coming. Thank you.